Alright folks, Mr. PiP here, and let me tell you something that might mess with your mental radar for a second. Right now, as you're casually watching this video, probably sipping coffee or scrolling in bed, American fighter jets are already up there, quietly owning the skies over more than 80 countries. Not visiting, not sightseeing, dominating. And no, these aren't just fast planes with cool paint jobs. These are flying PhDs in destruction. Built with decades of engineering obsession and budgets so large they could make small countries nervous. Now here's where it gets fun. Most people think they know the U.S. Air Force lineup. They picture stealth black triangles, Top Gun vibes. But what if I told you the most common fighter in the arsenal isn't even the one you're thinking about? Yeah, plot twist already. And it gets better because one of the newest jets in the lineup can carry enough firepower to make an entire small nation's Air Force reconsider its life choices. But before we dive into the list, quick check-in. Where are you watching from? Drop your state, your country, your time zone. I want to see how global this audience really is. And while you're at it, tell me this. Do you think the U.S. actually dominates the skies? Or is that just good marketing with a big budget? Now let's get into it. Number 5, and trust me, this one's going to surprise a lot of people, the F/A-18 Super Hornet. Yeah, I know, not the newest, not the stealthiest, not the flashiest. But if you've ever been on a U.S. aircraft carrier or even just watched footage of one you already know, this jet is basically the Navy's right hand. The Super Hornet is what shows up when things get real fast and messy. This isn't some experimental prototype or a lab project. This is a battle-proven, saltwater-breathing workhorse that's been launching off carrier decks for over 2 decades. And here's the thing. While other aircraft come and go, get hyped up, and quietly retired, the Super Hornet just keeps showing up and delivering. Why one word? Versatility. This jet doesn't do one job. It does all of them. You launch it from a moving runway in the middle of the ocean, it goes out, hunts enemy aircraft, switches roles, mid-mission drops, precision strikes on ground targets, then circles back to protect the fleet like nothing happened. Oh, and if another jet is running low on fuel, guess who becomes the gas station in the sky? Yeah, same aircraft. Now let me throw this at you. If you were the commander of a carrier strike group sitting out there in the Pacific or the Middle East, and things suddenly escalate, are you trusting one specialized jet or something like the Super Hornet that can adapt on the fly? I'm curious, what would you deploy first? Because here's the reality. Aircraft carriers don't get second chances. When they show up, they need immediate air power. No waiting for reinforcements. No calling time out. And the Super Hornet is often the first one off the deck, setting the tone before anyone else even arrives. And don't let the age fool you. This thing has been quietly evolving. The newer Block 3 variants. We're talking advanced radar systems, improved stealth shaping, not full stealth, but enough to make detection a serious problem, and networking capabilities that let it talk to other aircraft in real time like a flying command node. So, while everyone's busy obsessing over the newest shiny stealth jet, the Super Hornet is out there doing the actual job over Iraq, Afghanistan, the Red Sea, the Persian Gulf. Real missions, real targets, real results. And here's the kicker. Its ability to operate from carriers means it can bring American air power anywhere on the planet without asking anyone for permission. No foreign base needed, no runway required, just ocean and intent. Now, let me ask you something else. Do you think naval air power is more important than land-based air power in modern warfare? Because the U.S. clearly bets big on carriers, and jets like this are the reason why. But don't get too comfortable with number 5, because coming up next, we're stepping into something completely different. Something that doesn't just fight, it overwhelms. Something that carries so many weapons, it's basically a flying arsenal with wings. And trust me, this is where things start getting unfair. All right, now we're stepping into a whole different mindset. Less Swiss Army knife, more walking into a fight, carrying the entire armory. Number 4, the F-15EX Eagle II. Now, if the Super Hornet is your reliable multi-tool, the Eagle II is that guy who shows up to a bar fight with, let's just say, significantly more enthusiasm than necessary. This thing carries up to 29,500 pounds of weapons. Let me translate that into Mr. PiP language. That's not a fighter jet anymore. That's a flying missile truck with a PhD in overkill. And here's the wild part. It's built on a design that's been around for decades. The original F-15 never lost a single air-to-air combat, perfect record, 0 losses. And instead of retiring that legacy, the U.S. said, what if we take that undefeated platform and give it steroids, a supercomputer, and hypersonic toys? That's exactly what the F-15EX is. You've got digital fly-by-wire controls, next-gen radar, open architecture systems, which basically means you can keep upgrading this jet without tearing it apart every 5 years. And most importantly, the ability to carry weapons that other fighters physically cannot. We're talking hypersonic missiles, Mach 5 and beyond. That's not you see it coming and react. That's by the time your radar notices something weird, it's already over. So, let me throw a scenario at you. You're a commander, you've got limited assets. Do you pick stealth and finesse? Or do you pick raw firepower that can wipe out multiple threats before they even get close? Drop your answer. I want to see how you think. Because the F-15EX doesn't sneak. It doesn't hide. It projects power deep into contested airspace, long range, heavy payload, and it does it with engines that give it insane thrust and maneuverability for its size. And here's something people don't talk about enough, the 2-seat configuration. One pilot flies, the other manages weapon sensors coordination. That human split, that's still something fully autonomous systems can't replicate. Not yet. Now zoom out for a second. Imagine this operating in the Pacific. Vast distances, multiple threats. You need reach, you need payload, you need something that can hit hard without getting too close. That's where the Eagle II becomes a force multiplier, not just a fighter. But now we go from brute force to something a little more surgical. Number 3, the F-22 Raptor. This is where things stop being fair. The F-22 isn't just a fighter jet. It's the reason enemy pilots lose sleep. Only 183 were ever built. That's it. No exports, no sharing. This is a strictly we keep this to ourselves kind of asset. And once you understand what it does, you'll see why. Let's start with stealth. Not marketing stealth, real stealth. The kind where enemy radar systems just don't see you. Or worse, they see something, but they don't know what it is until it's too late. But stealth alone doesn't win fights. What makes the Raptor terrifying is what it can do while staying invisible. Supercruise. This thing flies above Mach 1.5 without afterburners. No massive heat signature. No fuel guzzling. Just quiet, efficient, supersonic dominance. Meanwhile, other jets have to light themselves up like a flare just to keep up. And then there's maneuverability. Thrust vectoring engines that literally redirect exhaust mid-flight. This jet can do things in the air that look like they break physics. If you're in a dogfight with an F-22, you're not in a dogfight. You're in a demonstration. Now combine that with sensor fusion. The pilot isn't just flying, they're seeing everything. Multiple radar inputs, electronic signals, data from other assets, all fused into one clean picture of the battlefield. So instead of reacting, the Raptor dictates the fight. Let me ask you this, if you were going up against a near-peer adversary like China or Russia, would you rather have numbers? Or a small fleet of aircraft that the enemy literally cannot detect properly? Which strategy wins long-term? Because the F-22 has one job: air superiority. Not multi-role, not compromise, pure dominance. It goes in first, clears the skies, and makes everything else possible. And here's the scary part. Most pilots who've trained against it say the same thing: you don't even know it's there until you're already dead in the simulation. That's not just an advantage. That's control of reality in the air. But we're not done yet. Because coming up next, we're about to talk about the jet that refuses to retire, refuses to become irrelevant, and somehow keeps proving that experience still beats hype. And then, after that, we step into something even bigger. Not just a fighter, but a system that changes how wars are fought entirely. Now here's where things get really interesting, because after all that cutting-edge tech stealth dominance and hypersonic talk, we land on number 2, the F-16 Fighting Falcon. Yeah, this one. And if your first reaction is, wait, that's old, then congratulations, you've just made the same mistake a lot of people do, right before getting outperformed by something they underestimated. The F-16 is the definition of a proven warrior. Over 700 of them are still actively serving in the U.S. Air Force. Think about that number for a second. In a world obsessed with next-gen everything, this jet is still everywhere. Why? Because it works. exceptionally well. This aircraft has seen more real combat than almost any modern fighter out there. Gulf War, Middle East operations, ongoing missions across multiple regions. This isn't theory. This is decades of refined tactics, real-world adaptation, and pilots who know exactly what this machine can do under pressure. And here's the genius of the F-16. It's simple in the right ways. Single-engine, lower-maintenance, high agility. That fly-by-wire system. It lets pilots push the aircraft to limits that older designs wouldn't even survive. So, while the F-22 controls the fight, and the F-15EX overwhelms it, the F-16 wins through repetition, precision, and reliability. Now let me flip this to you. If you were building an Air Force from scratch, do you go all in on expensive elite platforms? Or do you build around something like the F-16 that gives you numbers, flexibility, and proven results? Because modern F-16 variants, they're not stuck in the past. AESA radars, advanced electronic warfare, real-time data sharing. These jets have been upgraded so many times, they're basically a different animal from what first flew decades ago. And pilots love them, not because they're flashy, but because they respond instantly. No hesitation, no surprises. In combat, that kind of trust matters more than hype. And let's zoom out again. The F-16 isn't just an American tool, it's global. Allies fly it, train with it, fight alongside it. It's not just a jet. It's a network of shared capability and doctrine. But now we hit number one, and this is where everything changes. The F-35 Lightning II. This isn't just a fighter jet. This is where warfare stops being about individual platforms and becomes about systems. The F-35 is basically a flying brain with weapons attached. Every single one of these aircraft is part of a larger network connecting air-sea-ground satellites' command centers. When an F-35 enters the battlefield, it doesn't just see what's happening. It helps everyone else see it too. And that changes everything, because now it's not about who has the best jet. It's about who understands the battlefield first and acts faster. Stealth, of course it has it. Advanced stealth. Every angle, every surface designed to reduce detection. But it doesn't stop there. Heat signature control, electronic emissions management, even acoustic considerations. This thing is built to disappear across multiple detection methods. And yet, while it's staying hidden, it's also collecting data, massive amounts of it. Pilots describe the experience as almost unfair. You're not guessing, you're not searching. You're operating with a real-time, fully integrated picture of everything within hundreds of miles. Let me ask you, what do you think is more dangerous, a jet that can shoot far or a jet that knows everything before the fight even begins? Because just recently, F-35s in the Red Sea proved something critical. Real combat, real targets, enemy drones eliminated. Not theory, not testing. Actual performance under pressure. And then you've got three variants: Air Force, Marines, Navy. Same brain, different bodies. Conventional runways, vertical landings, carrier ops. This isn't one aircraft, it's a family built around a shared system. Now think about the future for a second. If you had to predict what comes next, more F-35s, next-gen air dominance platforms, swarms of AI drones working alongside these jets. Drop your prediction. I want to hear how you see this evolving. And let's not ignore the global angle. Allies flying F-35s means shared data, shared awareness, shared advantage. That's not just air power, that's strategic alignment at a level most adversaries can't match. So, when we look at all 5 of these aircraft together, this isn't just a list. This is a system of systems, each one playing a role, each one covering a different layer of modern warfare. From the reliability of the F-16, to the raw power of the F-15EX, to the invisible dominance of the F-22, to the flexibility of the Super Hornet, and finally, the networked intelligence of the F-35. This is how you control the sky. And maybe more importantly, this is how you make sure no one else can. So, here's the final question. If things escalated tomorrow and you had to bet on one of these platforms to define the outcome, which one are you picking? And don't just say F-35 because it's number 1. Think like a commander. Think about the mission. Drop your answer in the comments, and let's see who's thinking strategically.